ARPA, state ARPA funds or something?
How much?
$108,000.
Whole project sounds what?
It's very expensive.
Yeah,
I mean, not starting, but, you know,
Less we have to spend, which is nice.
that's pretty nice.
signed.
It's running my cup without.
So there's
Tell me about it. Tell me
I
about
don't
it.
think you have
Live on
anybody on
Wednesday
your
night.
team that's.
Denise, do we need to wait for Katrin,
There's
or
knowledge of
we're okay to get started and you're gonna call
Yeah,
her?
I mean, I know that
Yes,
everyone,
I will call her.
you know, some of the
Is Rebecca
people,
here? Is Rebecca?
or the people
I haven't heard from
I haven't heard she
Rebecca.
got
wasn't.
the historical, you know, they worked on that.
Do we have to have a quorum
Yeah.
of the select board
And
members
if
in
you were
order
trying
to
do
do
it to be
this?
for the purpose of
Okay.
hoping someone else would pay for something.
The thing is, if
Well,
there's a
yeah, that's
quorum of
probably
select
why
board
I
members, it
wanted
has
to
to be a
do
select board
this, I
meeting.
It is.
But if there's
Can I
not
ask
a
about
quorum,
the siding? I
Okay.
mean, they're
then you'll
really,
leave.
like, inside.
Understood.
So yeah, if you
The
want to,
windows
it's
are
6
not-
o'clock, so if you
Okay.
want to start,
Those
go
aren't
ahead.
considered historic, so those aren't.
And Denise, did you say library's going first or
Floors,
conservation
say,
commission is going first? Okay,
The roof is not in the.
All right.
roof, but it's, you know,
let's begin the advisory budget committee meeting. I would like to invite the Lee Conservation Commission to present their budget proposal. You can, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, so hopefully you've got pieces of paper in front of you.
Does she need a microphone?
That was kind of where I was asking for it to be.
Sorry.
Your paper in front of you that has our request, and I've been using this format for the last 2 years. This is your third year to see it like this, because it's broken out in categories of major work that we do. And we don't have anything.
Just speak into the mic.
What?
It's on. Speak into the mic.
Okay. This year, we didn't put anything down for indexes and maps because the town has, with Katrin's lead on this, gotten us into doing a natural resource inventory with Stratford Regional Planning. So that is supposed to begin at some point in time, and it will be multi-department, and it will be all the natural resources and different data layers and so on. So that's coming up, but that won't cost us any money, or we don't need it out of our budget. But it is an action that we often work on. Our outreach to citizens, we have tremendous education outreach. We have articles in the e-crier all the time. Catherine Fisher, you've probably read a lot of her articles. She does a fantastic job. Facebook posts, etc. We have a couple of workshop and field days, and we also send a kid to conservation camp every year. Just Tuesday, we had Gibson Griffith, who was this year's recipient of the scholarship, to come in and tell us what camp was like. It's at the Barry 4-H Conservation Camp. And so we want to keep doing that. And then we do a lot of stewardship work, wearing our new t-shirt that we're so proud of. The Hardworking Trails Subcommittee has been doing a lot of fantastic things, and you've seen and honored our request before. We're getting things done. Lots of footbridges have been replaced. But there's more and more work. So we have additional things in there for keeping up with that work, annual maintenance and replacements as needed, improvements. I added a specific line item this time for Durgan Park, because I want to let you know that we are starting to think about doing some improvements there. You can have 6 cars when you park. We had a switchback walk to get down towards where the dock is, but people have taken a beeline, so we probably need some split rail fence or something to direct the traffic so it's not straight down over the hill. And then down at the dock area, it's just bare, it's just exposed roots, and it's this whole, it's shaped like this with an embankment that goes down to the water's edge. So that's not a good situation there, and we're scratching our heads over what to do about it. We're hoping to do something that can take care of that situation without going through a permit.
Where is Durgan Park?
You get to it off of Rita Lane, Clement Way. If you go north of where the town office is now, and take a right just after the S&J trucking.
It's for public access to Wheelwright Pond.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's the only water access in town besides the boat launch at on on the Lamprey River down at
Okay.
Wadley Falls. So those are the two, one pond and one river. So it's rather loved to death. It's not very well known, and we don't really want to advertise it too much when it's in this condition because it'll just get worse. So we'd like to add 2 more picnic areas to spread it out, because right now, if somebody comes, they tend to just take up the space right by the water, and that rules it out for other people coming along. So we're trying to figure out how to have a disbursement of people and change the impact, fix this erosion. So put a place marker in there for getting started on some of that work. And we've been reaching out to other organizations and state agencies for ideas. And we'd like to come up with a plan with a couple alternatives, and we'll run it past Public Works, Rec Commission, Select Board, get some wide input over the best alternative to move forward. Ecological management is sometimes we do some spraying for invasive species control. We do mowing at a couple of the easements that we have to keep them in open field. And then working down to the end with our partnerships, we do maintain partnerships with some of the other organizations that we work with and are dues paying to support them, and they support us. And we'd like to have a couple people go to our annual conference of New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. Really good information. It's other people, volunteers just like that, who are going to learn about things that are particular topics that are hot for us. And you get to network with other towns to find out who's doing what. So that's our budget. It is less than last year. But you can see that we get a lot done. We continue to get things done. You can see the bulk of what we're asking for is actually, the management of town-owned lands, because these are all the ones that have conservation easement on them, and the Conservation Commission is responsible. So if we did nothing, then they're being used. So we're trying to maintain them so that they stay healthy and in good shape and are enjoyable for the citizens. So that's our request.
Could you remind us what your budget request was for fiscal year '24?
Yes, the previous year it was 1060.
Okay.
Then just
Any questions?
a couple questions.
Yeah.
One was kind of just for my own curiosity, but my first question is, so just wondering the hourly value?
Yeah.
How do you arrive at that?
There's the link is on the bottom, the double asterisk.
Oh, okay.
So it's done every year and updated every year, but they put a dollar value on the value of a volunteer's hour. And last year it was 29 and something, and this year it's up to 31.
Huh.
So just to show you that, and this is easy thing in everything, but this is how hard we work doing things for the town. Our monitoring, which is up there on oversight, we're out there every Wednesday morning at one property or another, because there's 31 properties in town with easements. So we have eyes on property, and we're walking the boundary lines. And in this summer, when it was wet and lots of vegetation, you're slogging your way through a lot of things. I did leave out the drone request, because perhaps we could do some of these by drone and not have to do such physical exertion, but we'll save that for another year. But yeah, we put a lot of work into it.
And then my only other question, and you may not even know the answer, it's mostly for my curiosity. So how is it that with Wheelwright Pond, there's only that one small public access? And you have
Because-
the whole rest of the pond is private?
Because that's the only previous landowner that made the donation to the town so that it could be that way.
Huh. I guess nobody thought way back when to.
No, no.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, without it being an outright purchase, that was a gift, a dedicated gift to the town. There's 5 former parcels that make up the town forest. And that's the other thing we're working on is last year we spent some money on getting some maps so they were all in the same, all the surveys were on the same scale, so we could actually look at town forest property as one unit. There's a lot of trails in there, the footbridges have been improved in there. But you could actually walk from here to Wheelwright Pond just by going through town forest property. But this ends up there with the water needs attention. And some of that was, the easement was done with Land and Water Conservation Funds, which was federal dollars, which means that it has to be open for public access for recreation. And it can't be exclusive to Lee. Because that, that was one of my first things, is like, could we have like a library card? You put your ticket in the gate and Lee residents go in, but it has to be open to even non-residents, so that settles that. Yeah.
I know you didn't put anything in for new land, but are there any pieces you guys have that you're looking at?
We have a rumble that comes up here and there. So, that's the other reason why it's good to have something in your, we can't go to zero every year. We have to have money to work with if a survey needs done, or if something comes up that you're starting that initial work with perhaps appraisals and so on to look ahead. But we hear things once in a while of somebody that's interested. And then if it was where it was going to be a purchase of a conservation easement, that would end up becoming part of a warrant article and going for that. Yeah. Yeah, so the smaller dollars or all the preliminary work that has to happen in order to see if it's even viable.
How many surveys are you expecting to do in this fiscal year?
Which line are you looking at?
Under stewardship costs, you mentioned surveys, flagging tape, signage. Just curious.
Oh, well, see, this is where you don't know what's going to come up. In this past year, for example, at Durgan Reserve, there was an abutter that had a disagreement over where they thought the land line was.
Okay.
So in order for us to be clear, and it's also no hunting, and there was, that had to be clearly delineated. So we had that line, just that western line delineated, so everybody knew exactly what was town land, what is private land, so that we can all stay in line.
Okay. And also, last question for me, how many volunteers do you generally have?
Well, let's see, there's 7 members, 2 alternates, and then our subcommittee, which is the Trails Committee, has a really active, much younger group, and there's probably a good 8 to 10 core people in that. Christian's husband, I think, is one of them. And then on work days, like we have a work day coming up on October 21st, and that'll be in the e-crier of where and what to be. Some extra people show up.
Okay.
So we've had good involvement. And then on the 14th would be the one before. We're going to be doing some invasive species work, glossy buckthorn, down at the canoe launch along the Lamprey River. So if anybody wants to come on the 14th. And that tends to sometimes be, we've had 1 or 2 work organizations that want to do a service day. And so we'll marshal some volunteers like that who come as an organized group, and we say, okay, folks, here's what you do, and put them to work.
Okay.
So we've utilized that kind of extra labor too.
Thanks. All right, any further questions? No? All right, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
presentation.
It's done.
All right, Lee Library. If you could join us.
Going to an interview.
Less stressful than an interview.
I hope so. Hi, I'm Hayley, the director of the library, coming this evening to present our.
Do you know everybody?
I emailed the 2 people I was supposed to.
Yeah. You emailed
Do
me,
you know
I'm
all of
Stacy.
Do you know?
Oh, do I know? Sorry, I don't know everybody. I thought you said, did you email everybody? Did I? No.
No.
Sorry, Scott.
Why don't-
Should we do a round of introductions?
Yes, since she doesn't know.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Stacy. I am the chair of the ABC.
Tom Murdoch, member of the ABC.
Eric Johnson, member of the ABC.
Denise.
Pat Barber, non-member.
Dave Benson.
Thank you. Hello. So our budget today, I hope you've all got a copy. I did bring it on a thumb drive, but if you all have a copy, then we don't need to go there.
Thank you.
I have the trustees with me also, in case you guys have any questions about the budget that I might not be able to answer. So I'll just kick off right from the operations budget. So in fiscal year 22-23, we reduced some other line items so we could improve on some areas. Our budget last year was level funded, so we haven't had an increase in our budget for a couple of years. Last year we introduced lots more programming. It's been tough since COVID to get people back into the building, but I feel that the library had an amazing year last year, getting people in the door and improving on lots of our services. So we added multi-generational programming. The programs that we added last year included an elementary book group, which we've just started this year, and it filled up within the first few weeks of being advertised, and now we've got kids on the waiting list, which is amazing. We introduced a Scarecrow Walk, which was a huge success last year. Over 100 Lee residents came to vote on our scarecrows. We had over 30 scarecrows, it was lots of fun. We've also introduced Soup and Salad Socials, which is an opportunity for other community members to get together. It's like a potluck dinner. All of the staff volunteered. Some of the trustees made soups, so that's been a lot of fun, and we've welcomed over 200 people to those. We have been partnering with the Astronomical Society to do sky watches, and we've introduced craft kits for adults as well as children now. And we're also partnering with the Rec Commission to do yoga in the program space, which has been great. We've also increased our Library of Things. People laugh when we say Library of Things. We have things like cake tins in there that people can check out and take. We have puzzles. This year we've added a huge amount of STEM resources. We've added backpacks, backpack resources for the kids. So we've added quite a lot to that this year, which has been great. And already those things are being checked out. And we've additionally added to our website the use of an online chat. So that's been accessed quite 59 times when I wrote this, but more since then. So if you're on our website, a little photo of me pops up and says, chat to your librarian, and it's a good way to get instant answers. And you know, it's a little bit of fun, but it's also a good way for the community to communicate, get some on our website, get some figuring out what we've got going on. But it's also it's a face at the end of the line. So we've done a lot last year, and it's gone really well. The cost increases, however, in the money that we're spending every month, I want to say, have gone up. Everybody knows how much electricity has increased over the last year or two. So we've had a 61% increase in the last 2 years in our electricity costs. Our printing costs have also gone up by 28%, and that's because we're doing so much more programming. We're printing out more calendars. We've got more people back in the building using computers in our printing services. So that's gone up a lot too. Also, our downloadable items, we have an app called Hoopla, which is very popular. It's so popular because you don't have to wait to check out the digital item. There's no wait time. So you can hit a button, rent something, have it for 3 weeks, and then take it back. And the more people that have found out about that there's no wait times, the more people are using it. And it's an excellent service. So more people are using it, and the cost of that has gone up. So we saw a 31% increase in the patrons that are using it, but a 74% increase in circulation in the last year. So that's huge.
Can I ask a question about that?
Absolutely.
How do we get charged by Hoopla? Is it like based on
Per
things
item.
that people check out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So whereas the New Hampshire downloadable system, we get charged an annual amount, which varies. All of the libraries in the state vote on which kind of option you want to take. So you pay like an annual fee. Our annual fee this year was $2,219 for the state downloadables, but Hoopla we pay per item. So what we've done to reduce the costs already is patrons during COVID had access to, I think it was 6 or 7 items per month. To reduce those costs that we could see skyrocketing, we reduced it to 5 items per month. So we can keep those costs down by limiting the items that patrons can take out of Hoopla, but it's per item. And it depends what the item is too. So a DVD might cost more than a book, or an ebook might cost less than a regular book, an audio book. So the prices do vary, but for Hoopla it's per item. So we're billed monthly for that.
Got it, thank you.
You're welcome. Also professional development. I want us to maintain professionalism, to have higher quality of service, and for our staff to stay current. They haven't in the last few years been attending any training, but I think it's important that they do. So in the last year, we've been sending our team on a lot more conferences and training days, doing more courses. So, and I would like to maintain that. I think it's good for keeping current, and it's good for the staff to get out there and see what other people are doing and to learn best practices also. Library supplies, again in the last year, everything seems to have just skyrocketed in price, and we're paying a lot more for library supplies, and it's not that we're ordering a huge amount more than we have in the past, it's just that the price of everything has increased. And programming. So in the last 2 years, our programming has increased by 459%. And that's just because we're trying to offer so much more to the community. As soon as people started coming back in the doors after COVID, it was, oh, can we do this? And when can we have this? And can you do this? So we're trying, like I said, to hit all generations, to have multi-generational programs, so there's something for everybody. Also trying to hit all genres, so we're trying to do crafts, trying to do exercise, trying to do book clubs. We're trying to get people in the door doing a variety of things. And again, so that has increased our programming and also our programming numbers. With all that said, what we're asking for our operations budget is an increase of 8.5% next year. And if you've had a chance to look at it, we've moved a few things around in the budget. We used to have money in consulting fees, which we've now switched to technical. We did this because we have a tech company called Glenhardt Technical Services, and they help maintain all our software, all our computers, they keep our systems safe, they're there for service, and we've been working with them for the last 18 months, and we would like to keep that. So we moved that budget line into technical. We also added some money into maintenance, just to keep ongoing maintenance of the building. As things are breaking that need repair, we thought we should have a budget in there. All of the other amounts that I set are based on what we actually spent in fiscal year 23. So though I didn't increase a huge amount, the thing that doubled the most was the downloadable and digital budget. In 2022, we only spent $3,000. In 2023, we spent $8,500. So there's an increase in the state, there's an increase in Hoopla, there's an increase in prices in DVDs and movies. So we spent a lot more last year on digital services. We did purposefully try not to spend as much money on books, although we still spent almost all of the budget on books, knowing the renovation was going to happen and knowing we would have to weed out a big part of the collection to squish into the 2 rooms that we're using. We didn't spend as much on books as we wanted to. And I'm worried about that going forward. I still think our book budget needs to be a bit higher. We still have a lot of patron requests. Even though downloadable and digital services are increasing, people are still reading books. People are still coming into the library, and I can't even count how many people still come in and say, oh no, I can't do digital. I have to hold the book. I have to have it in my hand. So we still need to keep our collection current and maintain the collection as best we can. Again, electrical, we spent $4,883 last year. I've asked for $5,000. I've allocated kind of $5,000 for the budget there. And I've just tried to keep in line with what we spent in 2023 with our budget, increasing by $4,000, if that was possible. Any questions about that?
Just wondering, as far as people checking out books,
Yeah.
How would you say like the ratio of like downloads to like physical books, just numbers wise, and then cost wise too? Like, what does it cost the library? You know, if you check out 1,000 ebooks versus 1,000 regular books, what's the cost comparison?
So circulation within the library itself with physical items is still about 80% higher. I mean, if you split them down into percentages, we have maybe 8,000 checkouts on the digital collection, but we have 28,000 on circulation. So circulation within the library is still much, much bigger than it is with the downloadables. But I think also the children today, more and more schools are using Chromebooks and more schools are doing digital things. So I think we have a huge increase in the amount of children that are also using the downloadable services.
Did you see any trends as far as like which direction that's going?
Do you know, I really don't see a trend, because I thought once COVID was over, the digital would come down again and circulation would go back up. both of them are going up. So because we've got more and more people coming in the building, our physical circulation is going up, but so is our digital. So it's all actually just increasing. There's nothing, you expect it to kind of ebb and flow and be like, oh, well, now that's not happening, maybe we'll lose something there, but we're not. We're still seeing a lot of digital checkouts as well as physical people in the building checking out. So at the moment, it's great for the library, everything's on the up, but not good for money-wise, because we're trying to maintain a quality service, and we want people in the building, and I will never complain that we have too many people asking for too many things, because that's of course what we're there for and what we want. But I don't see a trend at the moment. Everything is just on the up, which is great. So speaking of statistics, you lead me into my next, segue into the next part. So like I say here, the demand for services, it continues to increase. And the first year I was in the library last year, it was a little slow, but it really picked up fast. Once people stopped wearing masks and got more comfortable coming outside and coming into the building, and you know, people were protecting themselves, and we were taking precautions, and once people got comfortable coming out, they started to come back into the library, which was amazing. So our patron visits in the last 2 years went up by 80%, which is huge. And again, that's not all just us. It's a lot. It's a hard time to figure out why. Is it because people weren't coming out because of COVID? Is it the services that we provide? Is it families growing? It's hard to say. But numbers-wise, our patron visits has increased by 80%. Numbers attending programs in the last 2 years has also increased by 84%. And again, we're trying to provide a lot more programs. So with more programs becomes more people. And our digital items increased 32%, wireless counts increased 31%. There is a mistake on here. It should say fiscal year 21 to 23, 22 to 23, so that 34% in wireless counts was in 1 year, not 2. And our computer use went up in 1 year by 231%.
So wireless count.
So as people come into the building, we have a wireless counter that counts how many people are on our network. So we have a lot of people that sit in the parking lot using the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So if you're in the library and you're hooked into the Wi-Fi, we count that as a wireless count. Whether you're on the computer, whether you're using your own device, it's a way to track how many people come in and use free Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question about this slide.
Absolutely.
So the patron visits, the program, and the program attendance on the left side, we're measuring over 2 years.
Yeah.
The 3 on the right, we're measuring over 1 year. Why the difference?
Because it was hard to do, it was easier to measure these things over 2 years because the patron visits were hard in it was even lower to come back to 2020. I was kind of like, do I do 21, 22, which is the biggest impact? So when I went back to 2022, there's a reason I'm trying to think of the reason that I did it. How many visitors came in 22? I can't remember why I did 1 year and 2 years.
Pandemic.
Yeah, I can't remember. Honestly, there was a reason I did 1 year on one side and 2 years on the other side. And it was probably something to do with the percentages of those two. But I genuinely can't remember why I did 1 and 2.
Emily, can you talk about the museum pass?
Oh, I certainly can, yeah. So we're super lucky, and that actually costs the library nothing. We have a wonderful, wonderful friends group that every year they add more and more museum passes. So they do, at the moment, 19 museum passes. And I don't know if I put the numbers in here of how many that were checked out, but they fund all of that, and the passes that they provide give Lee residents or library card holders. So if we have non-residents that hold a library card, either free admission or half price admission or admission for 4 for half price. So they all offer different things, but it's a program that the Friends of the Library sponsor and is free for us, and it's amazing for the patrons. Yeah, a lot goes out in the summer holidays and the summertime. Yeah. I didn't put that anywhere in here because it doesn't affect our budget. It doesn't affect kind of our what we spend. The salary proposal. So obviously, like everybody else in every town and every department, I want to keep the staff that I've got. We've worked really hard to train them. They've been at the library for a long time. They're well known in the town, and I would like to retain them. So in the interest of staff retention, providing quality public service, I'm requesting a 3% raise for the staff team. I would love it if we could increase the Tech 2 position. So I'm not sure why this happened. Before my time, there was a Tech 2 position that had more hours, I think over 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours. And during COVID, when that person wasn't needed, it was taken out of the budget line. Now we need that position back because our numbers are going up, programs are going up, circulation's going up, and I'm in that position where I'm trying to cover different times of the day, different hours, holidays, vacations. So I'm struggling a little, even with having 2 other full-time people. Now that I've only got a Tech 2 for 3 hours and a minimal sub-budget, it's tricky to cover all of the bases. So I'm asking for 10 hours. At the moment she works 3 hours a week. So I'm asking for 10 hours for the Tech 2 position and possibly some additional funds in the sub-budget to help us cover all of those things, trying to train the staff, going on vacation, sick time, all of that kind of thing. So our proposal is actually an increase of just under 6% if you add all of those things up. Revenue support. Any questions about revenue support?
Sorry, actually, I was a question about the salary proposal.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm looking at the fiscal year 2025 hourly rate between Library Tech 1 and Library Tech 2.
Yeah.
Library Tech 1's hourly rate is $12.71 an hour, and
Yep.
Library Tech 2 is $17.60. Why the disparity?
So Library Tech 2 is a staff member that's been with us for many, many, many years. She's trained to a different level, and she came on at a point where her salary probably was lower. The Library Tech 1 position has only been with us a couple of years, so she started on that low amount. It's to do with the position and the training that they have and the experience that they have. So Tech 1 started very, very low.
Okay.
And unfortunately I wasn't there, so I can't answer to why it was so low when she came on board.
How does the pay and the staffing and benefits for this library compare to other libraries?
For other libraries our size, if you compare to the size of our town and the population that we serve, it's on par, I would say now. Maybe not when I started, but with the raise last year, I would say we're not far off. Maybe a little bit lower, but I would say we're okay.
Are there any issues with retaining people?
Not for me at the moment, because I think, and I don't mean to blow my own trumpet, I advocate for my team, and they're a good team, and I think the more that we look after our staff and the more we help them, the more supportive we are, and the more that we can offer, the more they give us. So I have a really loyal, hardworking, all residents of Lee, and they care. They care about the library, and they care about the patrons, and they care about the children, and they care about the town. So at the moment I have a really good team, and I really want to keep this team for all of those reasons. They're excellent, and they do a really good job. So at the moment I have not had trouble retaining anyone, and I would like to keep it that way. And we've started doing so in the last couple of years while I've been there. We now do staff appraisals, staff reviews. I meet them every year. We look at targets and goals. What do they want to achieve? You know, there's more opportunity for them now, I feel like, than in the past. So, and they're grateful for that. They're grateful to be able to go to conferences and to go and get out there and do some outreach and, you know, be a bit more professional. So I'm hoping that we can keep them all. I would keep them forever if I could. They're all great.
Haley, can you refresh our memory? Did we elevate the youth services librarian to a full-time position
Yes,
last
you
year?
did. Yes. Yeah, and it was the best thing ever. I mean, it was amazing. It's been amazing. She's already bringing so much more to the library within that position, and she's so happy that that happened. We would have definitely lost her if that hadn't happened, so I'm thrilled, and so is she. So yeah, thank you for that. So revenue support, yep. It's hard to anticipate what funds are coming in, so we've done our best. Obviously this year we've had some grant money, which will be spent this year on the renovation. And the Community Centre Foundation will also be transferring some money over, so that's in our anticipated for 24. We have regular things that we kind of charge money for at the library: copier, fax, lost titles. We never know what we're going to get as gifts and donations, so it's hard to include that. Non-resident fees, they've averaged out over the years, so I've just kind of taken an average of that. And that's kind of what we have coming in. Any questions about that one?
Yeah, so maybe you said this, I'm interested in here. So I was like the $20,000 grant.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that.
Mhm.
So, but the gift/donation of $50,000.
Yeah.
What's in there?
So that money's being transferred from the Community Centre Foundation. So they have an account that they've been raising money for the renovation. So they'll be transferring some money over towards the renovation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that all of the 50,000 corresponds to that, or are you taking a guess at some of the normal gifts that you've received?
All of the 50,000 is correspondent to the foundation.
Okay.
Yeah, because we can't, if they weren't giving us that, that would be a zero, because we can't anticipate people that are going to give us a gift or a donation. I wish I could. I wish I had regulars that gave me money.
Really, could you talk a little bit about the $20,000 grant?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. So the $20,000 grant is a Libraries Transforming Communities grant through the ALA, and it's to make our library more accessible. So the reason that the application that I put in was for our restroom and for our children's craft area, to make double-heighted sinks, ADA compliance in the bathroom, to make our craft area in the new, what will be the new children's room, have double sinks too, and just, it's an accessibility grant to make our building more accessible.
What's the ALA?
American Libraries Association. Also with that grant, the nice thing about it, anybody that wants to come to this meeting is certainly welcome. I can have a meeting, or I will have a community conversation with our community to invite people to give their input on the grant. And if it happens that they think, oh, that's not a good idea to have an ADA compliance, a small sink for a child when the child can't even get in the door because we don't have an automatic door, we can change the grant. So this is a kind of grant that can involve people, and the community can come to the meeting. It's in October, and we talk about, this is what I wanted for the grant, however, what do you think? And we're trying to get those people that the grant is aimed at, people with disabilities, to come to the meeting to give us their input so that we can, if we need to adapt the grant, that we can adapt it. And, and I just have to put that presentation back to the ALA, and then they come back to us and they say it's fine. And I'm also applying for another grant. Round 2 has come out, so I am trying to get the automatic door as well. I'm getting greedy. Any more about those?
Sorry, how did you determine the interest number?
Deb?
Yep,
Can you speak to that?
Yep, we've opened a 5-month CD, and we had a significant amount of money that was brought in over the last few years, and so we're making about $85 a month. So that was, and it's a 5-month though, so that's why it's not 80 times 12, but we may be able to renew it just depending where we are in the renovation.
Thank you. That was quick and my head's swimming. And our financial report from 2023, you can see that we had a total income of $51,943.63, which included unexpected donations that came in. And we spent $48,795.21 in our operational budget. We had another grant for $15,000, which was for our lighting in our schoolhouse room for the renovation too. So that was that came in last year. And Any questions about last year's funds? The refunds and reimbursements come from the Friends of the Library. They come from New Hampshire Humanities for programming, and that's mostly where the refunds and reimbursements come from, which always, again, aren't guaranteed. So there's no guarantees that the Friends will refund X amount for my programming, or you don't know what's going to come back. The Friends of the Library have supported us and donated a huge $9,005.85. So they fund children's programs, they fund children's snacks, they do the museum passes, they do adult program snacks now, which they had never done before. They also do supplies and equipment occasionally when we ask for them. They purchased some of the outdoor tents for us last year. They paid for some of the adult programs also, which has been great. They also do 2 community events a year, which is the holiday concert and the flower bar twice a year. So they do a lot for our community. They do a lot for our library and our community, and they're a lovely group, and we're super proud to have their support, and they do a lot for the library. So, like I say, this year they've given a ton. I don't know how we would do it without them. And they fundraise a lot. They do the artisan auction, the flower bar is a fundraiser. You know, they work hard. They do a great job. Any questions about them?
How's the renovation going?
So we met with them today. A quick update. We met with them today. Work is set to begin for the first week of October on the outside of the building. So we're going. We're getting there. Yeah, it's going good. Everything's empty. Everything's ready. We'll be now having 2 weekly meetings with the architect and the contractor. So moving forward.
Good.
Kelly, do these figures include the money that you pay for using the town hall? I'm kind of lost track of.
We don't pay to use the town hall.
Okay, there's no sharing of the utilities. Okay.
We don't use, we use the town hall often for programming, so we partner with the Historical Society for our New Hampshire Humanities programming. That's usually the one that we use the town hall for, and not every time. The last one was in the library. We occasionally do them in the library.
Oh,
and
okay, I thought you were using the town hall more frequently than that.
This building, do you mean?
No, the town,
The old town, oh, the program space.
the program.
Oh, sorry, the old, I'm sorry, I
Yes,
thought you meant this, but
no,
sorry, I'm sorry, that's my
okay.
mistake.
No.
So we don't pay to use that space,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
So what's the purpose of the non-lapsing account?
So funds go in the non-lapsing account that are, I can't remember what goes in there. Copy of fees, I believe. Katrinka, can you answer to that?
Yeah, the non-lapsing account does not lapse, that's hence the name. The way the operations account that we get and the money that we get from the town, that lapses. If we don't spend it all, it goes back to the town. The non-lapsing account consists of income-producing machines such as the fax and the copier and the fines and the lost books.
Okay. So then, if the operations account lapses, then how does it have an ending balance?
Before it goes into the
How does it work?
housing.
Before, if the money not spent in the operations account lapses, then how do you have an ending balance?
That's
Or a
because
beginning balance?
the operations account includes reimbursements and some donations. We had a lovely lady give us $1,000 recently for books that went into the operations account, but it was not the town money. So we don't,
So do you have a ledger that says how much in the account is, how much in the operations account is lapsing and how much is not lapsing?
Yes. We have 2 accounts. We have
But
4
if-
accounts. One's non-lapsing, one's operations. Those are the 2 at the top.
we keep
But
it
if you're
all.
not moving the operations if you're depositing non-lapsing money into the operations
No,
account.
no,
then
we
you're not.
don't. No, a donation is a donation. And if we get it during the fiscal year, we have to spend it during the fiscal year or encumber it. So,
So are you talking about we open with a balance, and you're wondering why we open with a balance?
Well, my initial question is, why do you have the
Okay.
non-lapsing account? And if I'm correct, it's because there's money where if you don't spend it, it has to be remitted back to the town. But if you have money in the operations account that's supposed to be remitted back to the town, or rather, if all of it is supposed to be remitted back to the town, then how can you have either a beginning or an ending balance?
Because when we encumber money at the end, so for maybe invoices that haven't come in yet, or bills that we're waiting for, or like there's always an amount of money there that ends because you encumber it because we're expecting this bill and this bill's going to come in, or this amount needs to go out. So it doesn't all just at the end of the fiscal year, we don't say balance out to zero and
So
give
does
it
the
back to
balance
the town.
eventually get to zero at some point after the end of the fiscal year, or?
Well, the next
It's-
operations check would come in. I mean, you can see that the expenses are greater than the
Than the quarterly
budget was,
payment.
yeah, 46.8 is a quarterly payment, and we spent 48,795. So we spent more than we received from an operations perspective.
what we're obligated to spend in the year is the quarterly payment.
Right.
We do get donations which are put in the operations account, we get some reimbursements.
Why wouldn't
But
the
that's-
donations be put in the non-lapsing account?
A donation would not go in the non-lapsing account. That is for income-producing machines, like the copier, the fax, and the fines, and lost books. It's not money from taxation.
It's
Well,
for
right,
an
but I mean,
RSA, too.
that's what I'm just trying to understand this, so.
I know, it's confusing, but
Well,
it's set up by the
could you look at-
RSA.
The RSA
If I-
specifies what can
Because
go in the
like, what it
non-lapsing.
seems like to me, if you put the money, and he's kind of touching on it, like if you put it in the operations budget, like if I give the library $1,000, like I want the library to have that and keep that. And if you put it in the operations budget or operations account, doesn't it, like
Why not a third account?
So if people donate, you can have designated and undesignated donations. So most of the donations that we get are designated. So they would write us a check and they would say, I want this to go on books, or I want this for programming. Those go into the operational account so that I can spend them on books and programming. It's not often that a donation comes in that's not designated for something. Most donations, a patron wants to give you it for a reason, so they say, this is why I'm giving it to you. When they do that, it does go into the operational account, because then I can't spend it from the non-lapsing, but I can spend it from the operations, because my budget lines are in the operational account. They want books, it goes in the account where the books come from. Gets spent.
Deb, can you explain to maybe Dave and Eric, and whoever wants to live, in terms of how you interface with the town? Because certain things the town pays for, which are library expenses, and some of the things we transfer money quarterly to the trustees, and they use it to pay for things. So, Deb, could you walk them through that whole process? Because it's a little bit different.
Well, it's different in that we receive a check, a quarter of the 46,800, which has been the amount for the last 3 years. We deposit that into the operations account, and from there we create a budget that equals 46,800, and then we manage through that. And like I said, we've gone over a little bit, but on the other hand, we've got some significant donations. There were books, we have non-resident fees, we have book sales, et cetera. A little bit of interest, not too much. But those offset it, so that going over the budget gives us a little bit of a cushion, but that's all.
So they never give
No,
any
never.
back. Yeah, just as-
We couldn't afford to do that. I'm asking for more, I can't give it back.
So the payroll and those other expenses are paid by the town
Oh, right.
and the library expenses.
Yeah.
But the money that gets transferred quarterly to the library trustees, they don't give any of that back. If they don't spend it, it's still theirs. They control that. So,
And if we don't spend it, which we've never not spent it, we've always gone over budget, it encumbers into the next year.
Okay. So you've you're going over budget, but you're covering it because people are making donations.
Yes.
But you're not spending all of the donations every year, and that's why you have the balance.
Over the years, yes. I mean, that, but if you look at the opening balance of 8,000, some whatever it is, that's over years. It's not just, oh, we've had 8,000 left from last year. If you go back into our budgets in previous years, last year I think we opened with 7 or 6. The year before it would have been less, you know, so it is increasing. And hopefully people are getting more generous and giving us more money, which is nice. Actually, we've had more donations this year. People see the renovation happening, they start to come back to the library, they want more things.
So like on here, for example, the town quarterly payment is $46,800. The total expenses is $48,795.21. But in the event that, say, the total expenses were $45,800, I would expect to see like $1,000 remittance line.
That could be.
Okay.
It hasn't happened since I've been treasurer.
It wouldn't happen.
Haley would spend it.
Any other questions?
Does anybody in the audience want to speak or ask a question or?
Audience members? Okay. Thank you, Haley.
Thank you.
Anything?
All right. With that, we have no other agenda topics for the ABC this evening, so I propose that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Adjourned.
Good job.
Ta-da.